The TRANSCEND CLL 004 study is a study of liso-cel CAR T cells in relapsed refractory CLL patients. We sort of know that CLL is an incurable disease or an incurable type of low-grade lymphoma, but we've come a long way in treatments in terms of finding non-chemo targeted therapies for the most part in these patients. And, patients have been doing very well on these new medications for a long time. However, we're starting to see a particular group of patients who have progressed on BTK inhibitors as well as venetoclax now. And so there's sort of an urgent unmet medical need to find new treatment options for these particular subgroup of patients. And that's why we designed this liso-cel CAR T cell study in relapsed refractory CLL patients especially who had progressed after BTK inhibitor therapy, and most of them had also progressed after venetoclax therapy. We enrolled 137 relapsed refractory CLL patients on this study. They were all leukapheresed. We had 96% manufacturing success rate. There were about 20 patients who were not able to get their manufactured CAR T cells for various reasons. And so 117 patients were actually treated with liso-cel CAR T cells. Out of those, 87 or so were efficacy evaluable subsequently. And our primary endpoint actually was complete remission rate in a subgroup of patients who had progressed on both BTK inhibitor and venetoclax therapy. So there were about 49 of those at dose level 2. And dose level 2 is the dose that was expanded. That's the recommended phase 2 dose. So all these patients that I'm going to be talking about are pretty much treated at dose level 2, which is 100 million CAR T cells. And so in that special subpopulation of 49 patients, our primary endpoint was met. 18% was the complete remission rate in these patients. And our null hypothesis had been less than or equal to 5% in this very refractory patient population. So we had many more complete responders. Our overall response rate in this group was about 43%. This was not statistically significant compared to our null hypothesis of less than or equal to 40%, but we had a whole lot of undetectable minimal residual disease patients, so up to 63% in the marrow and 59% in the blood were UMRD down to a level of less than or equal to 10 to the minus 4. Definitely, we saw a lot of deep responses, and pretty much all of these undetectable MRD responses happened by the first time point of a disease assessment after CAR T cells, which is day 30. So there were rapid and deep remissions. What we also found was that the complete remission patients did not reach their median duration of response, their median progression-free survival, or their median overall survival. So those responses are very durable so far. Median follow-up is about 2 years or just under 2 years. But I've certainly had patients who've gone even up to 5 years now without relapsing. So we're still following a lot of patients over time, and durability, we'll see over time how that plays out. In the whole population of patients, I think the median duration of response was about 31 months, and the median progression-free survival was about 20 months. But it was very promising to see such deep and durable responses in such a refractory patient population. So those were the bulk of the results. We found that pretty much there were very few, if any, major toxicities. Most of the cytokine release syndromes were grade 1 or grade 2. There were no grade 4 or 5 events. In neurotoxicity, again, most of those were grade 1 or 2. There was just one grade 4 neurotoxicity and no grade 5 events. So fairly safely given this particular CAR T cell. There were probably 16% patients who were treated on the outpatient basis as well. So we're certainly learning more and more about that. So I think, that's a very important question, because we've sort of, in the new novel targeted therapy era, we're trying to find ways to get to a cure for this particular disease. And I'm not saying we've reached it, but I think CAR T cells might play a big role in trying to get there. I think, especially for patients who progressed after BTK inhibitor therapy and venetoclax and have poorest features of their CLL, for me, it's a no-brainer. I think a one-shot treatment with CAR T cells will give them a long treatment-free interval afterwards. And I think if we can try to bring this treatment modality a little bit earlier in the lines of therapies, because median lines of therapy for this particular trial was 5. So patients had gone through a lot of treatments before they came to CAR T cells. But if we can actually do it after 2 lines of therapy, or who knows in the future, maybe even after 1 line of therapy, if we can do it earlier in lines of therapy, I think the results might be deeper and more durable. So I think we have a lot to learn and improve upon, but I think it's a very, very good first step in CAR T cells to treating these very refractory CLL patients. So I think it certainly will fit in. I hope the FDA will approve it, at some point in the near future, and that way we can have it commercially available. I would suggest that they seek referral or consultation with a CAR T person at a transplant center kind of situation, like City of Hope. Early, if they've just started failing the newer drugs like BTK inhibitors, don't wait until they fail 2, 3, 4 lines of therapy. Just come and see us sooner and see if they'll be eligible for CAR T cells sooner rather than later. I think that'll benefit patients a lot more down the line. So just to be aware of that.